Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Average Superstar TV. I am your host, Lauren Lepre. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. And this week's show will definitely be quite entertaining. We are back in the music world, back in where my roots came from, the Pennsylvania hardcore scene, the 570 area. My guest this week has been in brown music a very long time. I would definitely put him as one of the founders of the Pennsylvania hardcore area in the 570 area. This guy's been in bands such as First Things First, Plank, Label the Trailer, Catfish Bullhead, Hostile Response, Fat Chance, FCK, and Bigwig. This is one of the biggest personalities I've ever met in my life. This is the guy that popped my cherry and took me to my first New York hardcore show. With that, I'd like to welcome to the show, Matt Gray.
What's up, everyone? What's happening, Lauren?
Good to see you, friend.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
And thank you. As we were just chatting before we went live here, Matt's currently getting a whole new house, like just putting it to the ground from the ground up. So he's got a lot going on. So I thank you for giving me your time.
It's stressful. I'm doing this once in my life, and never, ever again am I doing this. So
I believe you, dude.
it's so much work, and it's just stuff that you never even think that, like, oh, we didn't even think about steps. You know what I mean? Just random shit. Like, we're like, oh wait, we got to put steps on before we can, move in, and just random shit.
You can find a pair of steps at Five Below. It doesn't cost them.
Yeah. I'll get some like inflatable ones.
or the old wrestling ring steps. Just rent those,
There you go.
Sweet.
Absolutely.
But Matt, I got into the Pennsylvania hardcore scene in 1993, and I kind of was quiet for 2 years, just a little bit of Lauren appearances here and there before 1995 came, when I kind of said, I'm going to live in this. You were kind of always around. So before we even get to that, when did you know you even wanted to be in music? And when you first started going to shows, were they punk shows, or were you going to other, like, anything that was musical at the time?
My first punk show was actually the Ramones in Allentown. And actually, my first band I ever saw live, you ready for this?
Tell me.
New Kids on the Block.
Dude, that's freaking fantastic. I've still not seen them. I've seen them all.
$5.
Wow.
Great Adventure. So anyway, that popped my cherry as in live entertainment. And then it was probably the same year after I went and saw the Ramones. And I had been listening to the music, to punk rock and hardcore, and I went and saw the Ramones, and I will never, ever forget that show. It was just like, this is my people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I could freeze you right there and say the only time I saw the Ramones, you were there. That was Broome County Arena with Into Another and White Zombie for $17.50. It was like a Sunday too. I was like, that was. And you were telling me you knew what song was next, because the Ramones just kind of keep the same.
It's a certain area. The Ramones did it. Like, they had their song list, and it like never changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they were my seventh band I ever saw. Like, that was like my third show. Like, you want to say like big show, like wise? Yeah, it was that. That's crazy.
That was a great show. That was awesome.
Yeah. And my first show was Suicidal Tendencies in Allentown. So
at the bingo hall?
No, they opened for Metallica with Danzig at that was the Fairgrounds, I think, is when they were doing shows.
That's right. Okay, yeah. I just did a show there with the Starting Line like 2 weeks ago.
Dude, I've never been to a show there since. Like, I don't know if they don't do them, or nothing interests me. I don't know what the story is, but
absolutely.
So when you saw the New Kids, is this like what, 89, 90? Like, when is this about?
No, 80. 86, 86, 87. I think it was 86, 87, something like that. You know,
So
and it, go
when
ahead.
you okay, so then that all springs into like the punk rock with the Ramones and everything. Like you start feeling grabbing, getting pulled towards something.
Well, I was always a metalhead, hence the Quiet Riot shirt. You know what I mean? I was a metalhead, and the only reason I went to see New Kids was because it was $5, and I wanted to
Yeah,
go meet girls. We were at Great Adventure, my cousin James and I, and we're like, New Kids on the Block's playing here for $5. Like, let's go and see him, and we'll meet girls. You know what I mean?
yep.
And like I said, that was the first band I ever saw live. You know what I mean? And I didn't like them. You know what I mean? It wasn't my thing. I just wanted to go meet girls. You know.
And that's
I
what
had been
Tinks
into metal and everything. What's that?
and that's why we had Tinks in Scranton for so many years. The worst bands in the world are
Absolutely.
playing. Let's just go to meet girls.
Who cares? It's tanks. All the
Yeah,
floors of women.
yeah.
Awesome.
But that's marvelous. We were terrible people, but
Yeah.
so, but all right. So where did you see the Ramones? Was that in PA? Was that New York, Jersey?
That was I saw them 9 times. So that was the first time was the Airport Bingo Hall, which was in Allentown.
Oh, we'll definitely let you go into that era of what that club was in a little
Okay,
bit.
sure.
We'll get back into that. So, but
Absolutely.
I mean, how does one? It's kind of like when I covered in the Pennsylvania hardcore documentary. It's like I'm always curious, even though obviously I put the movie together and stuff. But
Right.
how does one at your age at that time, when there's a scene not about to be developed up in the Scranton Wilkes-Barre area, even find out to get to a Ramon show? And two, you weren't driving yet, right? So I mean, how do you get to a show?
No, I wasn't driving. My cousin James's older brother had just got his license. We were freshmen and he was a sophomore. And probably through a radio station, probably heard, hey, come see the Ramones, blah, blah, blah. So he drove us down there to Allentown. And from my early, we just got rides from people. I was always friends with a lot of older people from our area and Lake Wallenpaupack. There were a lot of like old like metalheads and thrashers and like skinhead dudes, and they had cars, so we would hitch ride with them and go to shows and everything like that.
Could you recall around what age this is for you?
15, 16.
Okay, 15,
Yep.
16.
Yep.
All right, so you're off with going to shows. So I'm curious between like the American Youth guys, the Option U and Dan from FCK and all that. Like
Sure.
who like raises the flag and says, "I got an idea to start a hardcore scene in Pennsylvania." Like how does this come together?
In my opinion, and I've said this before. When it comes to CCs, I know I'm kind of fast forwarding here though a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit. To me, Dan Engvaldson from Fat Chance FCK Plank. I mean, he was the first one that did shows there and everything like that. He was constantly in talks with Vince. Like I said, this is a conversation for down the line.
yes,
But out by where I lived, like I said, we had the older metalheads, thrasher, skinhead dudes, and they didn't. Some of them didn't play instruments, so they're like, hey, these younger dudes, they can. Well, we couldn't play for shit, but these guys play drums, bass. Anybody can sing. You know what I mean? Which I don't agree with anymore, but you know what I mean.
yeah.
And I think that the older people that you wouldn't see on the scene as much, they kind of took us in under their reins. We didn't start anything, I don't think, because there was people before us. You know what I mean? Like,
What was there a lot before you though? Because I'm like,
no,
what
no,
would you? Yeah, I was gonna say like,
no.
would you say? I mean, according to what at least what I put together my own movie,
Sure, yeah, yeah.
it seemed like 1989 was kind of when there was a spark.
Booming. Yes.
Yeah,
And I definitely agree with you. Yeah, because it was more just like local shows and stuff like that. There wasn't really anything of like our, of our shows and our places, obviously tanks, CCs, home base, man of screen, all those, they weren't really developed yet at
no,
that
by
stage.
far.
You know what I mean?
So
So
where are you having shows, and was it when I got into the scene around '93? It would be like I went to the underground in Wilkes-Barre. the Factory. So
Factory.
that in that era, you had hardcore bands, but you also might have a punk band, a death metal band. Hey, here's this hippie kind of group over here, and this rap hip hop sort of band. It was kind of like there's not enough of these genres to make a show, so let's all come together, and
Absolutely.
it gelled, and it gelled. But like that is that what's going on before my time, like 89, 90?
Yeah,
it's kind of anything to get people together.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was too. Because you know what it was? It was local keg parties and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And like me and my friends from high school, you know, us being big Ramones fan, we knew like every Ramones song. So we would get up at like keg parties, and you know, they'd be playing like old time rock and roll. You know what I mean? Or like a Doors tune. And we get on. We'd have shaven heads. You know what I mean? Or you know, like mohawks and shit. And we get on, and you'd be like, what the hell is this shit? You know what I mean? And you know, if the metalheads weren't there, or the thrashers or the skinheads, you know, I mean, I go into this party, and you know what I mean? We'd raise hell. We'd get on their kit, you know, their instruments, and just play and have fun. You know what I mean? So I think that's what it was. Local parties and stuff like that, backyards, you know, shit like that.
Yeah, because I could say. Yeah, when I met you, you know, I met you at, I know the exact place I met you. I met you at a Keystone Junior College at the time.
Sure.
It was like New School and Option, and I can't remember the rest of the lineup. And I think VOD was supposed to play, but they didn't. Like one of the many times VOD was scheduled and they didn't. But
absolutely,
I remember that's exactly where I met you. And then I remember like Honesdale had not just skating, but I wouldn't call that a hardcore show, but your band's playing. And one thing I always dug, I definitely latched on to you, dude. You know me, I was calling you every week. I still have your mother's phone number buried in my head and stuff. But
it's still the same. Still.
Okay, I won't say it on the air, but like no,
it's good.
But but
still the same.
Well, the thing why I always went with you was there would be hardcore shows. Strictly hardcore by the time I came a staple, but you always knew, well, it would be like you and FCK playing this place in Newfoundland or just this little, you always knew what it was like. They weren't really shows, but a hardcore band was playing, and I went every time. Either went to your house, jumped in with you so I didn't have to worry about directions, or you gave me directions and I found it, you know?
What we did, my man. Absolutely.
And for anybody also who to tell you how ridiculous this was, sometimes like Matt would tell me about a party, and I'd always say, "Well, like, can I just show up? Do I like am I invited? Is this person gonna be like, who the hell are you?" and slam the door in the face? It's like, dude, I'm not really invited. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, let's go and see what happens.
I missed that. I missed that, man. That was amazing times, you know.
No, it really was, man. I mean, there was sometimes it'd be like, who are you're cool, but who are you? Who told you to be here? But
out of all the times that I've done that, once at a frat party in Scranton, I almost got the shit kicked out of me.
Oh, really?
Were you with me for that? It was like late night.
I don't know about the beating the shit out. I think I remember that. I do remember we were either in Dunmore or somewhere in Scranton where we went to someone's house, and one of the girls was like, "Who are they?" There was about 10 of us, and she threw us out. We were like, you know, who are you? But there was no show. It was like a random house party.
Yeah, I think that was probably it, because I think I was like in Lake Paul Pack, and it was kind of late, and we went. I thought it was off of not Green Ridge. It was in downtown Scranton. I'm almost positive, and
I don't remember a fight from that.
No. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't want to embellish on the story or anything like that. But the girl came up to me, and she's like, "Who are you?" And somebody was standing next to me, and they're like, "Who are you guys?" I go, "I don't know who that is. I picked them up hitchhiking." She goes, "You're a fucking asshole." And I go, and I'm trying to break the ice. I'm just trying to be an idiot here. You know what I mean? I'm not, no tough guy or whatever. You know what I mean? So next thing you know, these guys come up to me and they're like, "Who are you guys with?" Blah, blah, blah. And we're like, "We're just looking for a party." They're like, "Were you invited?" And it might have been the same one. I don't know, but.
Yeah, it was. There wasn't a lot. If there wasn't a lot of people there. But But if you want to say, I did that about 50 times at you. You probably did that another 100 by yourself. If that's our only get out, we did pretty good. we we definitely did pretty good, man.
The starting line played a show with Snoop Dogg in Ithaca College. So Neil Husvar was with us.
Oh
Obviously, we all
boy.
know, love and know Neil. So he was with us, and we all trailed it to this like frat party, and we had to climb up like these outside fire escape steps to get in and climb through a window. And everybody turns and like looks at us. And it's like the starting line, Neil, and I think Milo was with us, our friend Milo
Yeah.
and everything like that. And he was with us. And it was just very uncomfortable. And it was like, I think we stayed maybe 5-10 minutes and we're like, yeah, we got to get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? So back out the window, down the fire escape steps. We're like, we got to get out of here. So
yeah, it's crazy because for anybody who's like not from our area, and there's a lot of probably people listening that aren't, but you had to realize when you lived in the Scranton area, all the way up to where Matt lives, like in Hawley, PA, and Lake Wall and Paul Pack and Carbondale, where I came from, like you had two choices. You either sat at home on your ass and watched movies, or you just got in your car and hoped for the best.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
you just made phone calls, and if there was just a spark of something to do,
yeah.
I mean, we did crazy. I remember, like, even on weeknights, I don't know how far away your area is from Newfoundland, but remember, who was that dude's house that you always had parties at with Exit 6?
It was probably Walt or Pete Lynch from Fat Chance.
Yeah, but he had a stage in his backyard.
Stage in the backyard. Oh
He
my
had a
God,
stage in the backyard, right by where Nick X used to live. There used to be.
It's got to be Walt Wilson because Walt lived right next to Nick.
Okay.
Like, right around. I don't remember him having a stage though. I'm trying to think. You got me on this one.
Catfish Bullhead played 1,000,000 times there.
Oh my God, I'm getting old. Okay.
There was a little. You had a little pond.
It would have been Joe Greb's house. It was like a farmer. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was either Pete Lynch, the guys from Fat Chance. It would have been those guys. It would have been their house. Yes. Yep. That's where it would have been.
Yeah, but I remember, like, even on a weeknight, like it'd be like Thursday, we're just gonna go stop up there. There's only a few people, but I would drive an hour just for something to do for 3 hours, and then get back in the car and drive another hour home. But that's how like loyal we were to the scene and each other. Like we
absolutely, we had a good camaraderie, my man. Absolutely.
Yeah. That was right where Nick would throw the shows too, like the 2 or 3 before it ended and all that. But
sure.
That's the Scranton Wilkes-Barre legacy. You might get a show or two out of a venue, and they'd see us throwing high kicks and all that, and they'd be like, they thought we were all fighting each other, but we weren't.
Absolutely. That's why I'm surprised the venues that we did have, I'm surprised they lasted that long, and just the legacy behind them, and just they're iconic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you look at now, like the whole world kind of caught up with like tattoos and like more rougher look, but we were sporting that in the Scranton area in the 90s, and you got a lot of eyes on you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We all did. The girls too. You know, they'd be like, "What's that girl have? What's that girl got in her nose?" You know,
to fall into a tackle box.
Yeah. So walking fishing lure. What's wrong with her? You know. Yeah, it's crazy, but we got a little ahead there. But I'm just kind of curious. Like, so the Pancake House you had going. I mean, that was all Dan, right?
Yeah, that would have been Dan doing the Pancake House as well.
And this is like the night. I'm just kind of curious before like we crash into CC's and stuff, obviously, because we could be there forever. But like, what other places are you guys having shows at? Even to start,
we actually had, believe it or not, like some weird shows at like Honesdale High School, Wallen Paul Pack High School. We did like. I don't know if it was a show, but it was like the talent show, Battle of the Bands thing, but it was live music entertainment. You know what I mean? Like I said, parties. As far as venues, like I said, there really wasn't much. White Mills Fire Hall, we had a couple shows there. And Tafton, Dan was doing some shows, but that was probably, I think you would have been around for that. You would have been definitely around for Tafton, PA. What the heck was the name of that place? Oh my God. Like Candiria played there. No Redeeming Social Value played there. Shift played there.
Okay.
Breakers.
Yeah, I remember that.
Breakers.
Yeah. And my band, even Final Stand, played that one. I think it was the last one they ever had there too. Yeah.
That's right. Yep. I have a flyer for that actually too.
And I still got those cool photos of us with Candaria and No Redeeming. So those were fun nights, my friend.
Awesome. Yeah.
And Guardrail played that show.
So cool.
Yeah. Oh man, crazy freaking times. But so then I guess we got the Underground and Wilkes-Barre, the first show I was at. Was that like kind of, I guess in a way, like the first club outside of the roller rink in Nanacoke? Would you say like club wise that they were kind of the first?
The Factory, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
From my memory, I would say yes, definitely. I would say what was that? Nanacoke Skate? Wasn't there like a skate place?
Skaterama, was it? I think it was
Skaterama, something like that was there, but I think I was maybe I'm sure first things first. I know we played there, but there might have been that I went maybe 2 shows that I went there. You know what I mean? So that was more of Neil, Steve, the guys from Option,
Mike Lambert.
Lambert, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, as far as, like I said, from my memory, yeah, before that, like would be the Factory from what I remember, just kind of as a venue,
Yeah. Okay. And yeah. So when I showed up in '93, I remember like Jeff Dixon and Mike Chance, Jay Hudak, the guys from Option. And then I remember from '93 to '94, I may have hit 10 shows because I didn't, I'm this kid working at a donut shop making $3 an hour under the table. It took me a while to get a car. So 95, when I jumped in full time, I remember their faces, and that's where I met you and the chain reaction, and I never left. It was crazy because everyone was just, by then CC's already was consistent.
Established, right? Sure.
Yeah. I think Spanky's may have been rolling by then too, by 95. So if we were lucky,
Stroudsburg, right? Yeah.
So if we were lucky, we had one on one day and one the next for the weekend, and it'd be the same people. This is the craziest thing. It was like the same 80% of the people.
Absolutely, at every show. It's weird. So getting back, like how you said, I've talked about venues. It's weird because like when I started to go into shows, I was going to like Allentown and Trenton to City Gardens or to the Anthrax Club in Connecticut or CBGB's or to the Irving Plaza, the Ritz. So we were driving all over the place. So because it was hard to get our little scene started with a venue besides like a VFW or a backyard kegger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like it. Like I said, from my memory, it kind of sparked maybe around 90, 91, 92, and things started to take off. Because otherwise, we were going to City Gardens or the Anthrax Club or Airport Bingo Hall, venues like that.
And back then, but your era there, when you said it was probably about consistently, I mean, there was a lot more bands, but there was probably only about like a starting 8 bands at all times, to be like the American Youth and the Side Over and Option and playing. It's like they would break up and just form another band, but it was kind of like the same 5 to 8 bands before 95.
Because there wasn't that many of us.
There wasn't. And then as more people came, I'd say 1995 with the CC's era, that's when the New York hardcore like bit the Pennsylvania hardcore scene. It kind of changed everything. Like everybody, we were all attracted to it, including me. Like we all loved that. Yeah, so kind of killed that era. But I loved when those bands hung around because it's like
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
and then and then it's crazy because by the time you flip to 2000, Scranton Wilkes-Barre had so many bands that made impacts. It's crazy, or what they formed into at least.
Awesome.
Yeah, but so I mean, what were like do you have like any particular memories from back in the day that like people should know about?
I don't know.
Well, how about this one? Let's go into our soft PC world. Do you want to explain to everybody what the Airport Music Hall was most known for?
Oh, Nazi skinheads.
Oh yeah, but
Nazi
when you
boneheads, not skinheads, they're boneheads.
So, but when you say that, I think a lot of people think like, oh, there was like 5 or 6 racist people causing trouble. Explain to
Oh, it
them.
was fucking
Explain to them
terrifying.
the monster number of people they had.
Okay, so this is a great story. I saw the Bad Brains there, and in the pit, in the center of the pit, the Boneheads were hanging a huge swastika banner. I shit you not, a huge. I mean, it had to be 10-foot swastika banner, dude. It was fucking insane,
And
insane.
did the Bad Brains keep playing or did they stop?
Yeah, they kept playing. They kept, from my memory, they kept playing. Um, there was fight after fight after fight after fight. Obviously, I'm sure you've heard about the famous riot show. I was obviously at that show where there was guns, there was mace, there was broken glass, there's broken windows, blah blah blah. And
Would you say what was an average number, like a good number per show that they showed up in numbers? Was it really about like 50 to 100 always?
in my memory,
Yeah.
yeah. From what I remember, hell yeah. It was like we were the minority. You know what I mean? But it's so funny because I remember we would used to go to the Allentown, what do you call it? Allentown Mall first, and we'd walk around the mall before, we'd be mall rats. Then we go to the show, and I saw some Nazis there. And I walked by, and I think I was weird. I was wearing like a punk rock trench coat, you know what I mean? Like with patches and the pins all over it. And the one Nazi bonehead, he goes, "Hey man, how you doing tonight?" And I was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And I was just like thinking, like, and then like 2 hours later, the dude's probably trying to kick my ass. You know what I mean? It was just weird because it was like he was kind of nice out of the element, but in that, you know what I mean? It's like they wanted to prove something and be asshole. I got a great Allentown story where I got jumped once. I got a good story on that.
Please give that one. I think I may have heard this one, but give it for the audience. Go for it.
So, me and my girl / friend, we were walking. There was a venue called Oliver J's in downtown Allentown. A lot of great hardcore shows, blah, 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 blah. Me and my girl / it wasn't girlfriend, this girl that I knew from school, went to the car, walking back. So I got approached by three black guys, you know what I mean? And the dude looks at me, he's like, "Yo, you illin'?" And I didn't say anything, and I kept, moving, and he pushed me, and he punched me in the face. So I kind of fell to the ground, and I got back, and I'm a pussy, you know what I mean? And I'm like, my heart's pumping. I'm like this, and they start to, they're just swinging at me, and they're missing. And I'm like, is things like in slow motion? So they're wasted drunk, right? So they're swinging, and my girl / friend, she's yelling, she's freaking out, and the guys stop. And I'm like, what the fuck is they stop for? And I turn around, and there's like 50 punk rockers looking at them. Remember Big Trouble, Little China? Ah! You know that scene in Big Trouble? I swear to you, that's what it was. So me, being a fucking little dick, I turn around. What the fuck is your problem? Like 50 punk rockers after these 3 guys, right? So then we go back to the show, and what happens? Their posse of people show up, and then there's a fight outside, and this main cool skinhead, not Nazi bonehead, comes up to me. He's like, "Who was it?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I have no idea." You know what I mean? I was terrified. Long story short, that was Chuck from Weston.
Wow. Okay.
And I never found that. Now that was 1987 probably, and I did not realize that until Weston played a show in Wilkes-Barre, 93 or something like that. Somehow we got talking, and I'm like, "Wait a minute. Did you have a sleeveless red colored 76% uncertain that was a band shirt?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "I got a fucking story for you."
Crazy. So, I mean, just going back about, we're in a world today where everybody like runs their mouth, and there's almost like no repercussions. Like, explain to them, like, there's 50, hundreds, even 150 skinheads and stuff. Was it, you were the minority. So it was basically for you and everybody in the scene there that wanted to go see these bands, you basically had to go there and keep your mouth shut, because if you opened it and didn't agree with them in any way, right? You weren't getting out of the parking lot, right?
I was handed like White Aryan War flyers, White Aryan Resistance, and it was like they'd walk up to you, and if you didn't take it, they'd pop you in the face. Yep, and that
Wow.
was at, I remember that was at City Gardens when there was the big because it seemed like from my memory, I don't. It seemed like they got kicked out of Airport Bingo Hall and went to City Gardens, or maybe it was back and forth. I can't remember, but I'm
Okay.
sure it was like the same clique of fucking assholes. You know what I mean? But it definitely at City Gardens. I remember that aspect happening. And the one time somebody came up to me and big, huge fucking bonehead and was like, "Thank you." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, we were outnumbered without a doubt. You know what I mean? I say something, I'm fucking gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
well, was it really hard to like outside of what you just said with that one story? I mean, it was hard to challenge them when there's just so many numbers like
oh yeah.
that, right? I mean,
Oh,
what was it? Just basically a bully mentality, where like I keep in mind for the
oh
audience
yeah.
between City Gardens and Airport Music Hall, I never made a show there, so I only got seconds.
Right.
But I mean, did anyone ever try taking them on? Like, like, all right, the next show in 3 weeks, we're bringing our guys, you bring yours. Did that
Yes.
ever really happen?
But yes, it did. But you have to remember, I mean, Lauren, I was 15, 16 years old,
Yeah,
a country boy. I don't live in any cities. You lived in Carbondale. I live, you know where I live.
yeah,
My neighbors are fucking bare. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Those are my neighbors out back. They're bare,
yeah.
legitimately. There was one like a week ago. Anyway, so I'm a skinny, scrawny 15, 16-year-old country boy, way out of my element in Allentown or in Trenton, New Jersey. You know what I mean? But yeah, over the time there was more resistance, and the more resistance that got, a little more cocky I became. Some of my friends came. Well, no, all of it came. You know what I mean? And it was just like, you know what? We're not gonna be fucking afraid of these guys anymore, and we're gonna start to push them out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How, no matter what. You know what I mean? And then that's what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's sometimes I don't know what's fact from fiction, but like that here one
Sure.
time, like they actually pulled their cars in and sealed in the parking lot. I don't know if they were looking for somebody or something at one point.
I missed that. I'm sorry. What was that now? That they pulled in?
I heard something went down and people were trying to leave, and the skinheads kind of like blocked the parking lot with their cars, like no one's leaving until they find that. I don't know for
that
sure.
never happened to me, so that could be someone else's story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, this is so many years ago. You know, everybody's brains is
Oh gosh.
not as
Yeah.
not as keen. 30 some years back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they had a big presence, and I don't think they
Absolutely.
ever did sense it. It's not like the music hall had to close down. The guy that ran it said, but like they literally Allentown didn't want it no more because of that. So
Right.
they
It was a
they had
bad scene. Yeah.
they had a full shop, and they were definitely still around. But I think that was like the heyday prime
It
for
was.
them
It was
before.
the heyday prime was Airport Go Hall and City Gardens, and I saw both sides of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And when we would go at least we went to Airport, at least we knew like some of the Scranton guys, you know what I mean? So we felt like, we had a little bit more of like, backup, you know what I mean? But like City Gardens, it'd be like us and three people in one car driving to Trenton, and we didn't know anybody at that point, you know what I mean? So it'd be like me and 4 or 5 friends, one car, maybe 2 cars if we were lucky with people, and see Kyle, you know what I mean? And we're like, holy shit, you know what I mean? This
yeah.
is terrifying,
Yeah, I just say that today with the way everybody runs their mouth and stuff and yells racist left and right. It's like, well, you didn't have to. You didn't try going to a music scene where it was at that time dominated by them, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they could basically say what they want, and if you want to open your mouth, go right ahead.
Yeah.
But
They had a
you weren't.
fucking swastika flag for pet brains, like huge. I was like,
Yeah,
holy shit, this is insanity,
yeah.
And
That hardcore was scarier before that, but I mean. By the time I could say when I got full time in '95, we had enough of us at CC's. Like
right,
we had hundreds of normal people,
right.
all of us in unit, so they didn't really show up. They kind of
Now,
knew they couldn't do that anymore.
somebody had a Hitler shirt at CC's one time, and he
Wow.
was walking in, and me of all people, because I'm not a confrontational guy. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
a laid back, positive guy. I went up to him and I'm like, you need to change that shirt. What do you mean? I'm like, you need to turn that shirt inside out. You walk in here, you're going to get fucked. And that's what I said. And he turned it inside out.
Wow.
Don't remember who it was. Don't remember. It was like a Hitler shirt or something. It was fucked up. Like a million
Wow.
more or something. It was really just fucking flat out racist and like ignorant. You know what I mean? I don't remember. Big guy. I just remember he was a kind of a chubby dude. I was like, you need to turn that shirt inside
You
out. because
basically,
you
in a
go in there.
way, you showed him
Yeah.
mercy. You could have just let that guy walk into a nightmare.
Yeah, but
could've.
I mean, I'm a nice guy. You know that.
I know. Yeah, you weren't. You were definitely one who didn't like fights. You were more of the
No.
keep everything upbeat, not disturb
Yeah.
the hurt. Yeah, because
I'm not
the
a tough
fights
guy.
that happened in our era, that was just a big dick contest. There was nothing we
Sure.
ever had to worry about as far as
Right.
race. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah. No.
So it's crazy. So you and I can honestly say to you, dude, my entire era of listening to music, period, the three bands I've seen most in my life is definitely Crutch, RSB, and without a doubt, Catfish Bullhead is probably the most number one band I've ever seen, probably about 100 times.
Oh, that's cool. Wow. Thank you.
It's great. Well, you get the extra bonus points because of all those like side parties you'd play.
There you go.
You know, in the house parties, because like that's not a real show.
Absolutely.
You were just playing just because why not?
So much fun. Because the girls.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, you're in a band? Hell yeah, I'm in a band.
So dude, so I leave the Scranton Wilkes-Barre area for Philadelphia in August of '99. When did you start breaking, like trying to make a living and helping other, whether it was being in a band or a drum tech? Like, where does that start with you? And
I joined the band Bigwig from New Jersey in 1996. And I remember I was playing in a band called The Fakes, very short-lived band, like 6 months. And we were playing at Spanky's in Stroudsburg. And the singer of Bigwig came to see me play. And he's like, hey, we're looking for a drummer. He's like, you want to go on tour? I go, yeah. He goes, okay. And I'm like, you don't even know if I'm a good drummer. He's like, well, I'm here to see you. I heard good things about you. So I played, get off stage. He's like, here's my number. Give me a call. And with that, I joined the band Bigwig. And that was 1996. And we toured constantly. Lauren, in my 7 years of being in Bigwig, did over 625 shows.
Wow.
In 7 years. We played constantly.
I remember, and for a while you were on the Warped Tour, because I remember getting on your tour bus a couple of times. Like if it'd be like Philadelphia and Asbury Park, I'd come down, and the rest of the band would be all crashed out. Of course, you're one of the first ones up and running around and stuff. But
absolutely, yeah. But it was like Bigwig. I recorded 2 records with them, and without getting into it, like the singer and I, we had our differences, and I should have known it. Like I didn't get paid for the first 5 years of playing in Bigwig.
Wow.
I received no money. And I should have known that, because when we played Warped Tour in 1997 in front of like 4,000, we played Warped Tour in 1997 in front of like 4,000 or 5,000 people. We went up against Dropkick Murphys, and we still had like 4,000 people watch us. Roger from Less Than Jake threw his bass down on the main stage and ran over and was circle pitting in our pit for us. I love that guy. You know what I mean? Yeah, and we got paid 15 grand that night. I didn't see a dime of it. 15 grand one show.
So I'm just kind of curious, what are you living on the tour, though, if you're not getting paid? Is it just like an everyday allowance of like what?
We starved. We starved. When I recorded my first record with Bigwig, we bought a loaf of bread, and we'd go take ketchup, and we put ketchup on bread, and that's what we ate. I shit you not. I'm not trying to sound like starving musician. I fucking starved, and we did. I have a picture of our bass player, John Costello, eating a can of soup out of a can. Just like the lid's like this, and he's eating it. Dude, we seriously because we recorded in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like right on Hollywood Boulevard. I was walking every day for like 48 days. And long story short, we were supposed to play a bunch of shows to get money. And our singer Tom, we played the Whiskey a Go-Go, LA, and he jumped up in the air and he landed and he ripped his ACL on stage.
Ouch.
So I fucking hate the guy, but he did finish the set singing, and then they took him to the ER. And we had to finish our first record that I did with Big Wig while he was on crutches. I had some health issues pop up. I don't want to talk about it on the air, but you know what I mean.
Gotcha.
But I got fucked up, and I don't even want to go into it. It turned into a nightmare. We weren't making money. Tom was stealing all the money. I can say it now because it's 50 million years later, and everybody knows. And I'll tell you, Lauren, and everybody said, all my friends, my family, they're like, Matt, if you're not getting paid, why are you doing it? And I said, you know why? Because I love the music. Okay. I will sacrifice my life for this. I love the music. I really enjoyed the music. I had fun playing with the band. And you know what, Lauren? I could always go home. And you know me, I've been painting houses since like 1993. And guess what I was doing today? Painting houses. So I either took the sacrifice by staying in a band, and after 5 years, I started making some money. You know what I mean? Which was cool. You know what I mean? And when I started making money, Tom wasn't into it, and I signed a bullshit contract. I got kicked out of the band, and Tom took my money.
Gotcha.
That's a whole other conversation. Fuck that guy. But anyway.
Gotcha. So as far as not to keep you the Tom thing going, but when you said like all you guys you're on tour and how are you getting town to town though? Like I know it's the 90s and gas is still $1, but like how are the 5 of you or 4 of you living? Like
merchandise, selling merch.
Okay.
Merch. I mean, we had a lot. We had stickers, we had all types of shirts, all types of hoodies, all types of beanies, trucker caps, stickers. We had bottle openers. Are you ready? Oh, if I have it right here. We had night lights. Yep, we had night lights. We were going to get condoms that said, now you're fucking with Bigwig, but it never happened. Merchandise, patches. Remember in the 90s, everybody had patches?
Yeah.
Patches, merchandise. Like if our guarantee was like $100 or whatever, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? If we sold $250, $300 a night in merch, that would get us. And we didn't stay at hotels those days. We were staying at like the mobile. You know what I mean? We were pulling into the mobile station and sleeping in a van, or we camped out actually a lot of times, like state parks and shit like that.
Got you. But I mean, as far as one last hit with the whole thing with Tom, but like
you're fine.
Basically, if Tom was getting the money, would you say the label you were under was honest and was like paying Tom and thought that Tom was going to spread the money out, or was this another label nightmare where you weren't getting really paid too much at all?
I have full faith in Fearless Records and Kung Fu Records. Absolutely. Okay. No, they didn't know that we weren't getting paid. And it's like, it came to fruition, like I said, about 5 years, people started to pick up on it. And the band, and I know for a fact, I could say this now because I don't really tour with bands anymore anyway. I mean, well, I'm with the starting line and everything like that, but like bigger band, like Rise Against, like got huge. Like we knew Rise Against, and they knew that Tom was an asshole. And I, in my personal opinion, we did not go on tour with certain bands because Tom was known for being a dick, not paying his band members, and being very difficult to work with. I'm almost positive we didn't go on tour. We did a bunch of shows with Les and Jake. God, I love those guys. You know what I mean? But I know to go on a full tour with them because Tom's an asshole. Pennywise, Tom's an asshole. No Effects, Tom's an asshole. Rise Against, Tom's an asshole. They know. They all those bands, because we played that genre. For people that don't know, we were like more lumped in with that genre of punk rock. You know what I mean?
The Warped Tour staples is everyone you just named. Besides Bad Religion, like they're probably the number one. But yeah.
But like we never we did shows with Pennywise. Obviously a lot with Les and Jake. You know what I mean? A few with Rise Against, but I honestly think Tom ruined his own band by just not being a cool dude. You know what I mean? By taking care of his members. You know what I mean? And he ruined it. And I will, for the rest of my life, know the fact that he did. You know what I mean? But like I said, I could have quit anytime, but I'd come home. What would I be doing? At least I was on the road touring around the country, seeing things.
You can't take away regardless of how hard it was with him and just being in even if you wasn't that band, another band,
Sure.
it's hard to be in a band. But you got to see things, dude. And you got,
Sure, yeah.
you just said 600 shows that
Right.
of memories that people only wish they could have, man.
And you know what? Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, and look what it led to. I mean, you're still going. I mean, you fill in for when Luke can't play the shows in Wisdom and Chains. You're normally the guy that fills in. So
there's a reason that band still exists, because they're all awesome dudes.
That's
Such
right.
great dudes, and they take care of each other. But in '96, I started touring with Bigwig. So 1997, I've been keeping a journal every day of my life since 1997. Here's my journal for 2022. Okay, that's me.
I love it, dude.
I have these since 1997 every day.
Wow.
I didn't do the last 3 days. I got to catch up. Because
Gotcha.
Lauren, I started touring in '96, and I'm going all over the country. I'm like, I got to document this. So all the times we hung out, documented, brother.
That's freaking marvelous. That could,
all written down.
If I ever make another doc of someday, I could hit you up for like, can you give me the exact date of this?
As long as it's 97 on, I got it all, brother.
That's freaking amazing. So
yeah,
when the big wig era ends, like I know you teach drums now, and you got your starting line job. Yep. I mean, you're kind of like the all-around utility player for I think every band. Like you kind of just fill it. You absorb songs pretty quick. You could kind of
be the guy. Well, I mean, if you think about, the cool thing is with it's not like we were talking about Candiary before. It's not, they're like not amazingly, I mean, you get a basic hardcore song, a punk rock song, pretty cookie cutter for the most part. Like I said, we're not getting involved with like crazy Candiria odd time signatures and shit like that, blah blah blah. But yeah, I mean, after I got fired and switched over from Bigwig by signing a bullshit contract, I came home painting for a year. And I got a phone call to go out and drum tech for the Ataris. I worked with them for a couple of years, came home for about a year, and out of nowhere, the starting line called me. I didn't know them, they didn't know me, and I'll tell you what, I walked on their tour bus the very first day of the job with them, and they took me in like family, and they are just the most amazing guys, and I love them. And I'm going to Vegas, then I come home for a couple of days, go back to Vegas, then go to LA, and I think that's it. And then with my other band, Incendiary Device, which is come from the roots of the band Antidote, we're doing Portland and Seattle, couple-day tour.
That's awesome.
So
let me back up one more time. Just
please.
When you said the big wig contract, I just kind of like, could you fill us in on exactly like what you signed and any
absolutely
and any? I'm not trying to keep pointing the bear at a big wig.
No.
Anybody that's in a band, could you give them any advice about these contracts, about like the proper way to do it? So could you explain what you did and basically what not to do there?
Okay, so it was in my 7th year of playing in Bigwig, and I knew Tom didn't like me, and I know I didn't like Tom, and it had been for like 2 years, you know what I mean? And I stuck with it for 2 years, and he came up with this thing, and his uncle, who's a lawyer, had to sign a contract. Okay, and I'm signing the contract, and I'm like, and it was my exact words. I'm like, I sign this contract, I lose all royalties, I lose all rights to being even in Bigwig. I'm like, what's to say I'm not going to get fired? And Tom's exact words were, not to sound, I can't remember the exact words. He goes, how did he say it? He goes, well, let's face it, we need a drummer. So I signed the contract, bullshit contract, and I got fired, and I was getting 28% of whatever the band made at that point. Lauren, I can't remember numerically what the number was. But Tom's idea was, okay, fire Matt, who's getting 28%. Tom gets 8% more, and we're going to hire the new drummer on for 20%, or maybe even 15. I don't even know what he hired him on. Yep. Knowing Tom, he probably is like, you're going to get 10%. So
Got
Tom,
you. Could I just freeze? Well, could you say, did you talk to any lawyer, or is this a bad Matt move for a second, like with the contract of
bad
maybe
Matt move?
Okay,
bad Matt move. I did, yeah. And my check for being fired from Bigwig was $300. That's what I got.
That's like your severance pay. That was like your severance pay. Wow,
$300. And you want to know what? I never cashed it, so I'm actually still in the band. Well, I did go talk. Let's face it. I'm a drum teacher. I'm a painter. I'm not a fucking lawyer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know any of that shit. Like, I put all my faith in Fearless Records. They're cool. Kung Fu Records, Joe Escalante from Kung Fu. I love the guy. I mean, Bob from Fearless, amazing guy. It's a business, and I get it. They weren't fucking me over. Tom was fucking me over. They had no idea. And they had no idea for years. Like, what do you mean you're not getting paid? You don't make any money? You made $5,000 playing that show in California last night. You didn't get anything? You know? Yeah. I got fucked, man. I really did get fucked. You know what I mean? From Tom fucking Petta. You know what I mean?
So
you know,
I would say to the audience what Matt just told you, and for myself, who everybody knows, I'm more of the film guy and stuff now, but I just always say, like, don't sign anything without a lawyer checking it out, and actually after that, try to find a second opinion if you need another lawyer, like, because it's always those last few pages with all this English language where it's like, I don't understand what you're saying here. It's English, but it's basically saying we're screwing you over if you sign this paper. That's all it's really saying.
And that's what it was. Right. And I was terrified not to sign it. And Tom was like making me sign it because he knew if I signed it, like I said, he could fire me. And I got fired. I don't know if I told you, I got fired 2, maybe 3 months later. And it's funny, I got fired, and like 2 days later, they played a show with another drummer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so it was a setup. It was a setup. Let's have Matt sign this. My uncle's a lawyer. Let's have Matt sign this fucking contract. He loses all his royalties, his rights, blah blah blah. All this shit. I didn't get royalties anyway, so whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? That was a whole other situation. You know what I mean? I signed a bullshit contract. I got fired. But in the end, when I saw that drummer who took my job, and I saw him up in Canada, I think it was on a Warped Tour. I was drum teching for the Ataris. I went up to him, and I thought he thought I was going to fucking, fucking try to fight him. And I go, you know what, dude? Thank you. Because we need thank you. You know what? For the first 5 days that I got fired from Bigwig, I thought I lost like a family member. I was heartbroken. I was like, what am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Lauren, that 5th, 6th day, I woke up and I go, holy shit. I don't have to deal with Tom anymore. I don't have to hear him say, can you not zip your backpack that loud? I don't have to hear, no one from Bigwig is going to Taco Bell. We couldn't eat at Taco Bell. We couldn't eat at Subway. Now, in 1997, there's no other place in Colorado off a highway except for a Subway and fucking Taco Bell. We weren't allowed to eat there. We weren't allowed to have sex in the van. We had to drive 2 hours out of the way for Tom to buy weed. But yet, I was supposed to be the cokehead, which is a fucking bullshit thing. I'm just naturally hyper. Look at me. I'm 50 and I'm still hyper. You know what I mean? He had so many. I used to have to sit on the floor so his dog could sit on the van seat. Yep. Matt, you're not going to have my sit dog. Yeah. Yeah. He would guilt you. He should be a lawyer. I told him all the time, I'm like, dude, why are you in a band? You should be a fucking lawyer. He should have been a lawyer. He's good. You know, 7 years, I won one argument with that motherfucker. But yeah, I hate him. I fucking hate that guy. But like I said, when I saw the other drummer, I thanked him because I was like, you know what? I don't have to deal with this shit anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. I have a long list of all the shit that he put us through. When I was in the band for 7 years, there was 16 or 17 other members going in and out. That tells you something.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you could honestly, you could also look at, though, as much as that was bad. You played 600 shows, and
Yeah,
it led you to so many other
right.
things. Because
Absolutely. Yeah.
regardless,
It paved the way. Right. And, I'm glad because I went to like Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, all over Europe, US, Canada with the Ataris. And it was great. Like it was great to come home and then Tom walked on our tour bus. So I was like, "What's up, Tom Petta? Welcome to my tour bus, motherfucker." I didn't say that. I kept it cool, but I was the cocky one. I was like, "I got a tour bus. You still touring in a van, motherfucker?"
what
So,
would you say now, currently, for anyone who's listening to this, if it's years from now, it's currently 2022, but what where would you say as far as the scene's going? Do you think it's still kind of because the scene changes every 4 years? I always say that the
sure,
people
always
change and all that.
fluctuating.
But
Absolutely.
is there any part of the integrity you just wish kind of would come back, or
No, you know what? We're obviously older. I think we need obviously the new generation of bands to keep this. And in my opinion, hardcore punk rock's never going to die because there's always going to be pissed off kids.
oh
Always.
god,
There's
yeah,
always going to be fucking pissed off rebellious kids. My kid's 16 and he's an asshole. You know what I mean? He's like, was I like this? But at least I was at punk shows going nuts, stage diving and freaking out. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But yeah, we need the younger bands to keep it going. And in my opinion, there's no doubt in my mind that it won't keep going because there's always going to be angry kids, you know what I mean, and everything like that. And there's always going to be kids that look up to the older bands, be like, oh shit, I want to sound like this band, I want to sound like that band, or maybe take it, twist it, and make it my own. You know what I mean? Yeah, like we're older, obviously, so it's time for those new kids. You know what I mean? I still go to shows and everything, but my shows are more if I'm playing. You know what I mean? Or if I'm working with the starting line or stuff like that. And like I see younger bands, and I want to see that. We have to, to keep it going. You know?
gotcha. And what would you say from back in your era, from when you first started the early PA hardcore scene, or even any of the New York, Jersey bands? I mean, who are some of the bands that are with you for life in your heart? Like these are my main bands that you listen to constantly. Everyone maybe
Do I
should go
need?
check them out. Go for
Do I show my tattoos? I don't
it.
know. I
7
mean, my
seconds,
arm.
man. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we got
Yeah.
Circle Jerks, we got Minor Threat, we have Gorilla Biscuits, Dead Kennedys, Descendants, uh, Dead Milkmen,
Yeah.
Fear. I think there's a Crumb Suckers one back here. Crumb Suckers is back there. What do we got over here? Agnostic Front, Warzone. I don't know. Token
Warzone.
Entry, Killing
Yeah.
Time. I don't know. I got a bunch. DRI. Sick of It All. I have 2 Sick of It All tattoos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Vision. Yeah. What's up, New Jersey hardcore?
Hells yes. There you go. Yeah. Awesome. I
Fuck
love it,
yeah.
dude.
Vision. Yeah, Vision was quick Vision story. In my opinion, most underrated hardcore band. Vision had aggression. They had cool harmonies. They had talent, such amazing talent. Um, rest in power, Dave Franklin,
Yep.
amazing guy. Love the rest of the band. Just key players. Anyway, I went to City Gardens and I saw Vision blow, and I'm a big Ramones fan. They fucking blew the Ramones off stage, and that is
Wow.
my fucking Vision story. We walked in. There was probably like 5 of us, and we're like, "What the fuck is Vision?" And we're standing there. And we're like, "Holy shit!" And they were amazing. And I'm a obviously a pretty big fan, but like people are like, the first record, the second record, they put out a lot. All the records, in my opinion, were pretty freaking awesome. You know what I mean? They have 4 or 5 records. You know what I mean?
They were
You know?
definitely a band that it was always weird. They were never on a bad show. Like when you saw Vision coming,
No,
that entire lineup was just like who's who. It was always you
absolutely.
knew,
Yeah,
including them. You knew you were going to have like one hell of a show. It wasn't. They never seemed to get on. I don't know if it's just luck or it's just they either must have known these shows, but like
yeah.
they were never on. They were never like with 4 bad bands or like what are they
Sure.
doing with them? They were always
Yep.
a good show.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great guys. Love them. They're just, you know what I mean? They made a huge impact for me. You know what I mean? Obviously, I wouldn't have that tattoo. You know what I mean? So,
Then basically taking the conversation from there to over here I mean, currently behind me, I got a Warzone poster. Do
Fuck
you
yeah.
do you have any stories about rabies or what Warzone meant to the hardcore scene? Because I will say Warzone for me was a very important band, but I do believe rabies died. I think it was 96 or 97. And we all know, if you're an American, what September 11th turned into years later. And
Absolutely.
I just think he is, because of his unfortunate birthday, fell on something huge in American history that you don't see memes of rabies around. And I just think you should. I think people, like, no one really ever says, like, hey, today's rabies birthday because, you know,
I got you.
but I mean, could you just give a little what your take of what the guy meant?
I got a great Warzone story. So when I was in high school, we were stoked because it was a Wednesday night, and we're like, we're gonna go to the city to CBGB's to see Warzone. So it was another show, like $5. So it was me, my 3 friends. We get in the car. We go to. Oh shit! Sorry. We go to CBGB's to see Warzone. We get there, and it's just Warzone playing, and there's nobody around. So we pay, we go inside, and it's me, my 3 friends, and this random skinhead dude. And we're like, Warzone's playing tonight, right? And they're like, yeah, they're setting up right now. It was a photo shoot for Warzone. It was a special, weird, random show. So it was me, my 3 friends, and some random skinhead dude from Brooklyn standing there watching Warzone do a show on a Wednesday night. And we were kids. We didn't know that the tables were set up. We didn't. And that was another thing, because CGB's did the matinees where they took the tables away. So Wednesday night, all the tables were set up. You know what I mean? We walk in, there's nobody there. So weird thinking about that. Walk in, the tables are all set up, and there's nobody there. It's pretty fucking awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my Warzone story as far as my memory with that and everything. Yeah. It's like a photo shoot. They were doing like photography, all these nice cameras set up and shit like that. Pretty cool.
Crazy times. Yeah, I just think they were definitely a very important band that, you know, the New York hardcore people definitely aren't going to forget that. But I just think, like, outside of that, I just think it's a band everybody should check out.
Absolutely. Very underrated. Yeah. That's why I got my killer.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
There's my Warzone tattoo right there.
That's a beautiful one, indeed.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of odd shows, now you were just talking about that one with Warzone. My first, and I brought up at the beginning of the show, my first New York hardcore show, I remember my mom gets a phone call at like 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday. And my mom basically kicks the door open and goes, she didn't know you, but she knew your name. She's like, Lord, wake up. I'm like, what? I thought something bad happened. She goes, Matt Gray's on the phone and says, he's leaving for New York in 1 hour. Can you make it? And that was the infamous Beastie Boys and Sick of It All show at Coney Island High for $5. And that's where
$5, baby.
My New York hardcore virginity. And I flew. I was like in and out of the shower in 3 minutes, and I'm like flooring it. I'm like, move.
Didn't we have like 7 or 8 people in my minivan?
It was pretty deep. There was okay. So it was me, my friend Perry from Carbondale, my cousin Jerry Lepre wasn't even in the scene, but he was just around with Perry, so he had to come too. Dave Tyler. Someone else.
I think Dan Janda. I'm pretty sure Dan Janda. He was part of the Strasbourg.
Yeah.
Probably Pat Matroli. Pat Matroli.
And there was definitely like a girlfriend or two of not mine, but of anybody else up there.
Well, I remember this. Lori, Rebel Angel.
Yeah, Laura.
That Laura, duh.
Yeah.
She came home with us because she was randomly in the city, and I think she was walking by. She's like, "What are you guys doing?" We're like, well, you remember what Beastie Boys was called? They were called Quasar, and Sick of It All was called Alleyway Crew.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So they went under secret names, and you know what I mean? What an amazing show. That was awesome.
Oh gosh, I remember being in line, and that was like, I think it was a January, so it was like genuinely like cold, but we're all up there in New York for the day.
I can't remember, but
And
yeah.
I remember driving home. I wonder if you remember this, and this is written in your journal. You were speeding and you got pulled over. And
I did.
You got a heavy fine and you got mad because you thought it was a warning. And you're like, double check this. And when you looked, I think it was like $154, and you grabbed it, you threw it out the window.
I did? Oh, shit. I don't remember that. Wow.
You were mad. And I'm like, yeah. Because you said to the cop, I remember, because I'm pretty good with cops. I just know, like,
you got to play the game.
Play the game, and you instigated it because you go, well, you said to the cop, like, obviously I'm not from around here, so I didn't realize the speed limit. And he goes, obviously. And you go, yeah, obviously. He goes, I'll be right back. And I'm like, shit, he's gonna throw the book at him. Yeah, it was like $154.
Oh, man. I'm sure I paid it somehow. I probably got the phone call.
Yeah. But that's just how we were up there at that time. It's amazing what everybody turned into up there, because there's so many people that broke off in the like bands that are still going to today, or like, you know, Chris Mood from Mushmouth owns Club Reverb now. I mean,
awesome. That is awesome. Good for him. That is, yeah. I got to tell you, the punk shows and the Poconos, and it really kind of gets me thinking. I'm like, because, you know, my basement, you know, my backyard. I mean, I don't know if I want to deal with it, but it'd be pretty freaking awesome, man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and just have shit like that, you know. But I got plenty of parking.
Who was? I think it was one of your relatives, because I never knew whose place it was. But where was the place where up by you? For anyone who loves the movie Dazed and Confused, who had 15 keggers of black and tan. Whose place was that?
That was my cousin. And are you ready for this? And my property butts up against that.
Oh my God, dude! You're living in the crazy, man.
Right there. Yeah. Right there. My backyard butts up with the dirt road. You probably remember, but there was a dirt road that went up to the pond. Yeah. My backyard, right there, butts up to it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Your band played there numerous times. FCK. Oh. We had No Redeeming Social Value come up there one time. No Redeeming Social Value with 15 kegs. That's freaking beautiful.
Did. Who else played? I can't remember. It
was so like weird because those weren't considered hardcore shows. It was just everybody who was everybody. Like there would be people rapping up there and stuff. Like it was whatever.
Absolutely.
Acoustic guitars. Like it's just whoever wanted to go up and do something.
Yep, that's what it was. Kegs and just bands getting together and everything like that. Yeah, that place is obviously still there. It's you know, a lot different. You know what I mean? But my property's right up against that. Yeah.
Crazy. I just remember losing my car. Like it's there, but you got to go through so many. Like it's this open land, but be a big parking lot. And I just remember people with pickup trucks. I'd hear them having sex, so I'd be like a perv. I'd walk by, and every time I walked right into it, would be like man ass. Like I look, I'm like, the guy's always on top. Like, God damn it, man, that backfired.
Were you at the party where the dude was walking around selling crystal meth wearing a nun's costume?
That doesn't jump out, but I had one.
Okay. Yeah, there was a dude dressed up in a nun's costume walking around selling crystal meth. Yeah.
The thing I remember was the preppies, those Wigger kids. I remember they were getting into a big fight, and I remember Neil from Soulless at the time, where they were playing, and a fight broke out. He ran in and didn't know who was the good guy or bad guy. He just started swinging, and we're all like, "What are you doing?"
Oh man,
I just remember that.
It sucks because most of them were my relatives, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, they all still are, you know what I mean? It's like, it's funny because my cousin that owns that, like probably about 10, 15 years ago, he's like, hey, do you have any connection with Life of Agony? He's like, I'd like to get him up here and play at the pond. I go, I don't, but that'd be fucking awesome. You know what I mean? You know, like, and obviously it's just.
Were they just remembering them from the Pancake House?
Yeah, because they would go see him at like CC's and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They weren't really die hard into the music like you and I were and everything like that. They were obviously more into like hip hop and rap and stuff like that. But they obviously took a liking to Life of Agony, and it was like, I don't really have any connections. And at this point, it was like 15 years ago. It was like, all I'm thinking is like, do you really want to put your property? You know what I mean? We're different
Yeah,
now. You know what I
and
mean? It was
got also you got insurance problems now. Like
right.
you had them then, but like it's more of a big thing now if someone gets hurt there.
A different world,
Yeah.
different world. I mean, 25 years ago at least. You know what I mean? So,
And
but
one of the things I remember, like this is back when like me and Perry were attached to the hip.
sure.
When we go to the like any party, especially where you were at, we would park 6 blocks away in case the cops came because we were underage. That
Absolutely.
we could run through everybody's yard to get to the car because all the cop wanted to do was get the bunch. Like they're not worried about a few stragglers. We were really smart. And I remember where we're talking about with the pond. I remember the cops showed up, and I don't know who was at the gate, but they're like, "This is private property. You can't come on here."
Oh no, probably my cousin. Yeah,
during the party, and the cops like, "We know there's underage drinking. Like they're like, you can't come on here without." And they held them. But remember, from a distance, we saw the blue and the red, and I remember like. I'm driving, so I dropped the beer, and I'm eating all the bread and anything. I'm like they ain't getting me. They ain't getting. I remember I stayed like another 3 hours. I'm like, they can pull me over all they want. I am fine, and I was.
Yeah.
But I was hearing
they
were sniping people, that were immediately leaving because they weren't allowed. They never got onto the land.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So. But I'm always thinking. I'm like, it's probably the Italian thing in me.
You're smart about it. Yeah, absolutely. See, for me, it was easy because I could just walk home because my parents' house is right there. I just walk down the road. You know what I mean? So if you ever come back up here sometime, let me know. We'll go up there and we'll relive some memories, man. I'll take you up to the pond for sure.
Yeah. I always tell people because I'm down here in Philly area now, but I always tell them. You had no idea. They say, "Oh my God, how'd you live up there?" I'm like, I didn't even live in Scranton. I lived 16 miles past Scranton. You were another 20, 25 miles past me. And they're like, "What'd you do up there?" I'm like, when I tell them these stories, I'm like, "Oh man, you missed out on the city lifestyle." I'm like, "Yeah, but when there's hundreds of people you're hanging out with every weekend, even on weekdays. I mean, we made the best of everything.
Hell yeah.
We really did. Even if it was just like a band at Proof Rocks in Scranton, like
forgot about Proof Rocks.
Played there all the time. The Down Train
Proof Rocks, total.
All the time, But it was crazy how we just would figure something out. You definitely had those lone weekends where no one did anything. You're like, damn it, I got to get out of here. But for the most part,
that's why we'd always be trying to find parties or something like that. If there was no punk rock shows, like where's the keg party?
Yep.
That was my goal. Punk rock show or a keg party,
Yep.
Because I didn't want to sit home on a Friday and Saturday or watch Saturday Night Live. Fuck Saturday Night Live. I don't want to sit home then. I'm like, I'm 25. I personally think I got to live a longer youthful life than most people. You know what I mean? I was very blessed. I got to go on tour. I still am touring for a little bit. I mean, if you think about it, most people 18, they're like, okay, I'm 18. I'm going to get married when I'm 25, have 2.5 children, you know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go to college, get my career. Do I have a career? No. You know what I mean? But do I like where I'm at? Sure. Yeah. I love teaching drum lessons. It's freaking awesome. I just did 3 online drum lessons an hour ago before we started this.
And you just said something cool about staying young, like keeping young. Number one, everybody who's usually married with children, they have that look on their face, like, that's all their glory years now are either talking about their children or talking about when they're past with their buddies and stuff.
Sure.
And this, not just hardcore and punk, but music in general keeps you young.
Absolutely.
And shows. And I'm a guy, everybody knows I'm in film and I wear a lot of hats and even doing podcasts now, obviously, but guys, I mean, I will never give up music.
Hey, but it's what we love.
Yeah, compared to 1996 here with Warzone, which is $18 on September 14th at CC's with anybody listening from our area. We had Manhole, Feeble, Strong Intention, Living Proof, and Bomb Threat. That's the show there. This is 1996. This is CC's poster.
So badass.
It's laminated.
So cool. Oh, is it really? Oh, that's cool. Yeah. like I was saying before, I don't know if I was at that show because I was touring in '96, so I don't know. But
and if anyone's looking over here to this Bloodlet poster, the dates on it right there. That's April 14th, 1996 at Music. So it's Damnation AD with 25 to Life, Bloodlet, Dead Guy, 4x4 Big Block, and November's Fire, who I don't remember. I don't remember.
I was at that show. Yep, I totally remember that show. Yep.
And at the bottom it says, "Remember, no tough guy shit." Yeah, I don't think that happened.
Dude, I saw Man of War at CC's for I think it was $10.
I definitely did not see that show. I remember hearing about it all the time, though.
Man of War, and I'm pretty sure it was $10. And I'm a huge. I'm surprised I don't have a Man of War tattoo. I'm a huge Man of War fan. I don't know. It needs to keep growing. It needs to keep going. New bands need to keep happening. More girls in the scene, not because of blah blah blah, but like it'd be cool to have girl bands doing it. I know that, you know that. You know what I mean?
Oh my God! Is there a reason? Unless there's one out there I don't know about. Why is there not an all-girl hardcore band, like at all?
I'm sure there is. Forgive my ignorance on this. It's funny because it sucks. I'm like I've actually, as far as new music, I've actually been going back in time to like listen to bands that I missed out on from the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. I'm actually going because I like the recordings back then, blah, blah, blah. Some of the stuff that comes out now, it's a little too polished. Even the band that I'm in, Incendiary Device, we just recorded. And I can say this, I'm a little nervous it's going to be too polished and clean. You know what I mean? And not as edgy and raw.
I'm very big on and that's another thing. I mean, now I'm kind of slapping my whole legacy of my friends and all that, but I do know what you're talking about when you say too polished. And I also don't like when I hear a band won't play a basement, won't play a garage. Like they got to have a PA guy and a sound system. Like, well, you kind of got away from what this scene was built on of just show up and do the best you can. And your friends are going to go off to this music. And to me, that's if you want to say my ultimate gripe with the scene is we're kind of too much of a corporation. Just because we got the tattoos and everything, and like, but sometimes the money I'm hearing the bands are making, I'm kind of like, good for them. But you're like, good for them because I always tell people too when the people are like, well, the band sold out and they took the music, went over here. I'm like, well, there's one or two things that happen with that band that you're talking about. They're 25 and living home with their mom. They don't want to do that. The scene's not paying for them. So they got to reach out to more people. So which one do you want? But there's also that like, wow, this hardcore band makes $8,000 to $10,000 a show. Cool /
holy shit. Wow.
Doesn't it just seem like it's not underground anymore? You're like,
oh no, of course not. Oh no, I agree. I totally agree with you on that. Absolutely. You know what I mean? But that's what's cool about if you have the younger bands come up to like I said, keep the torch going and everything. And those younger bands, I'm sure. Well, maybe not. What's today? Wednesday? Yeah, maybe not today, but this weekend there's some underground hardcore punk band. I just don't know about it. I'm sure you just don't know about it because we're older and.
I didn't start getting the GBs towards the last 6 years. Is when I got the Philly because we'd go on Sundays for the matinee and it'd be done at 10:30 and we'd be home by midnight and I'm in bed. Perfect amount of time to wake up the next day. But when you went to that, did the bathroom stalls have doors then?
Oh God, no.
Yeah, because if you had to drop a deuce at CBGB's, everybody watched.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I thought that was from like the '70s that it never even had doors.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not that old, but I wasn't there then.
You'd piss in there, no problem. We're guys, we'll pee anywhere, but like you weren't taking a deuce. That would have been. You would have had 30 people watching you at all times.
Thankfully, I never had to there, so which is cool.
Yeah. I always said when I went to New York from our area, like I'd watch what I ate because you didn't want to be looking for a bathroom to do that in New York. You didn't want to do that.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. You hardly ate that day.
It's a lot cleaner now. Now it's not as bad as those 25 years ago. I mean, dude, I started going to New York City like '87. And I mean, it was fucking insane. I remember when Times Square was like strip clubs and porn shop. I remember that. You know what I mean?
And it was Taxi Driver.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, crazy. All right. Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on and telling this awesome audience our crazy youth, because it all definitely happened. And
without a doubt. I'm sorry if I talk too much. This is great. You know, we never
there's no
seen each
such
other.
thing as talking too much. I knew you'd be an entertaining guest. As
Awesome.
far as I know you do drum lessons, all that. Anything you want to plug, how to get a hold of you, or anything you got coming up, the floor is yours.
Yeah, like I said, I'm doing, so the newer band that I'm in is called Incendiary Device, and we just recorded, and it should be out next year. We're actually trying to do on Bridge 9 with Chris Wren. We're trying to do it on Bridge 9, and like I'm just a drum tech for the band called The Starting Line. It's not hardcore, you know what I mean, but they're just the most amazing. I love those guys. They took me in, and they know I'm like, you know, dirty punk rock guy. You know what I mean? I love them. They're great. And you know, painting houses, teaching drum. I have like 40 some drum students that I teach.
Sweet. And if someone wanted to check out like your work or get a hold of it, want to improve being a drummer, is there a way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of old and late. I don't really do it. I'm lame. I'm sorry. I'm 50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm on Instagram. Never. I mean, you know what I mean? Just Matt Gray Facebook. And I know I sound like the old guy, but I really don't plug myself too much, Lauren. I honestly don't. Like, you know what I mean? You know, I just don't. It's just, I'm lame. I don't know.
Easy enough. You're 50. You can be lame all you want. You did enough. You definitely have dude. You could take that diary and turn that into a movie, dude. There's definitely some.
Nobody wants to see my diary. Nobody wants to see my movie.
Sweet. Well, Matt,
Awesome.
I thank you so much for being a part of Average Superstar TV.
Right on. And much love to you. Thank you for what you do. This is awesome, man. You keep it going, brother.
Thanks. And you could definitely check out Matt and my movie, the Pennsylvania Hardcore documentary, which is free on Tubi. You can watch that at any time. And I also thank this audience for taking the time once again, stopping by. I drop a new show every Monday. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. And with that, I will say, see you next week. The party is over.